Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast,
Boston's premier art podcast,
where we talk art, culture, and philosophy.
My name is Theodore Earthworms.
And I am Brian Huntress.
Welcome to the show.
But when I look at my sound waves, they're all like
Do a
boopy.
bop, 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 bop.
Bop, 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 bop. Oh.
Yeah, you're good.
But how come when I talk, my sound waves are all like and when you talk, they're squares? Like you're clipping.
I was probably clipping more than you.
You're clipping every time you talk.
Oh, so I'll try not to clip.
Talk
Stop
less.
looking at that. That doesn't give you, that's not a sophisticated enough visual to truly identify how much you were clipping. You know what I mean? A real audio interface tells you, but that just kind of...
You mean the iPhone notes and our little
Yeah.
mics aren't
Voice
very
memo does not
advanced?
have a sophisticated enough visual for you to glean the information required.
That's fair.
We were just talking about collecting.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked about your clown collection on the podcast?
I don't know. I feel like I probably have, but
How many
maybe
clowns
not
do you have?
significantly. Before we did my little purge, I had 18, I think. No. That's how many tattoos I have. I think I had 14 or 12 or 14 clowns.
14 clowns. And what are they? They're ceramic?
It's kind of it's a little varied.
Ceramic, porcelain, resin.
A few of them are, I have a plaster clown or a couple plaster clowns. I have some ceramic clowns. I have one porcelain clown. I have some that are made of paper mache. I have one that's made out of a bean can in paper mache. I have a cloth clown. I think I gave that one back to you, though. I had him for about a year and a half. Yeah, I collect clowns, but I specifically don't collect plastic clowns, and I try not to collect tacky-looking clowns. I just only want unique, handmade clowns or rare clowns. I have one metal clown from Taiwan that was made in, like, the 1930s.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, he's a piggy bank. And his eyes roll back in his head when he eats a quarter.
Have I ever told you that I've seen that exact same metal, like, guy, but with different, like, as different characters?
Really?
I have.
He comes from a merch line from a specific clown that was active in the 30s. And mine, actually, I think is a reproduction from a run in the 80s.
We did find that out, yeah, that the
Yeah.
original coin clown guy had been made in, like, the early 20th and then was reproduced by some random, like, vintage gift company or something.
I don't know a lot about clown history. I would like to know more, but I haven't dedicated a ton of time to it, to be honest. But a couple of my clowns that I have are merch from famous historical clown actors. Like, real clowns.
That's pretty lit. Honestly,
I
You
only
know
like
what?
legit clowns.
You know what would be worth looking into if you do decide to get rid of some of your clowns? Because that's another thing we were talking about, is that you were considering, terminating some of your clown collection.
Well, I don't really want to. I love my clowns, but we're moving soon, and I have too many, and they're collecting dust, and I don't have them in a display case.
Here's the thing: if you're going to get rid of them, you're most likely not going to sell them. You're not going to profit off of their departure. You are going to give them away.
Yeah.
So, what if one of those, like, I'm just saying, like, something I've been exploring with antique photos that you could explore. I would do it for you if you want.
Okay.
But you could find, like, say there is a statue of a performer and it was merch for the performer.
Yeah.
You could probably find a historical society or clown history preservation person or someone passionate about, you know what I'm saying? And you could just give it to that person.
That would be cool. I would like to do that more than bringing it to Sabres or something.
Right. Kind of like something that I've been doing recently that was kind of fun is, since we've been learning so much about museums and library sciences and the archiving world here on the podcast and in our lives.
Yeah.
I have been learning how to communicate with museums and librarians and archivists. And my grandmother had a photo of a man named Jacob Poss, who was her great step-grandfather. So she had a step-grandpa, and it was her step-grandpa's dad, who was a mayor of a town called Rockville, Maryland, in 1893. He passed away, sadly. That was a joke.
It was like probably a while ago.
Yeah. Rest in peace, great step-grandpa Poss. But she just had the photo, and she wanted it to go to, like, some kind of, like, museum or something, which is usually a long shot when an old person wants some stupid old thing to go into a museum. It usually is never going to happen. But She actually had a photo of a historic mayor from the 1890s of a random suburb in Maryland. So I took it and I contacted the Maryland State Archives in Annapolis, right outside of Baltimore, and they want the photo.
That is so cool.
I was speaking with a woman named Maria, who is the senior curator of collections or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
She was very, very nice. And it was really cool. I'll admit it. I tried to sell it to them, hoping maybe that I could, have some kind of gains, some bountiful gains from this project.
To give to your grandma, obviously.
To give to my grandmother, of course, yes. I would never enrich myself off of my family history. I'm just kidding. What the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, so I tried to sell it to them. They didn't want to buy it from me because who would buy that kind of thing? So I'm going to just donate it to them. So my grandmother can get her wish of this photo of her, long dead relative can go into a fucking library or an archive somewhere.
That's exciting. That's really cool.
I really love that, man, because longtime listeners will know I'm a avid collector of antique photos, as you know as well. And I've been taking a new approach to cataloging and appreciating my collection, of not just looking at them and going, wow, look at that, so cool. Or like, oh, it's like a collection of ghosts.
Yeah.
I like that, but now I'm like, wait a second. If I have like a photo of some random woman from Clarinda, Iowa, like why not try to see if this is a notable photographer or person from this town in Iowa, and who but to communicate with, but with local museum administrators, librarians, and archivists in those regions. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just calling random historical societies and saying, hey, have you ever heard of a photographer called, like Frederick's Photography, like 1897, like Boontown, Iowa.
That is so cool.
And every once in a while they go, we know exactly who that is. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, wow. So cool, Yeah.
How does one go about that process? Like, if you had a piece that you wanted to investigate, what do you actually do? Like, what steps are you taking?
So here's the three angles with an antique photo. So it's either... the value comes from three places. It's either who the picture is of. Maybe it's a Civil War general in his sunset years as an old guy. Maybe it's a politician. Maybe it's Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, which is another photograph I have. Maybe it's like a vaudeville actor, whatever. But if you know who it is and it's a notable person, you can find value that way. The second way is the value can come from the photographer's notoriety and legacy in their own right. Like, you may not have any idea who the photographer is, but this might be a notable or important or well-documented photographer from the days of old. So that's another way. The third way, which is one of the most interesting ways you can find value in a photograph, is the type of person that is in the photo. Like, maybe it's a photo, like a very odd photo. Maybe it's a photo of like a fucking, like, I don't know, like a shaman wizard from Ireland. Or it's a photo of an indigenous person. Or it's a photo of a free enslaved person from 1899. Or... So
even if it's not an individual who's famous, it may be from a famous historical group or something.
Even if it's not a famous photographer or a notable person, you might be able to identify an identity within the photo that is valuable to a specific person. Not necessarily monetarily valuable, but historically and personally valuable to a person.
Yeah, of interest.
Yes. So, yeah, like maybe, like I have one photo that I think is so cool where it says, it's a photo of two children and an old lady who looks like she's like 7,000 years old. And it says like, it has writing on it where it says like two kids' names, and I forget all their names, but it's two kids' names and it says like grandma something.
Yeah.
And I did some research and figured out that it is a family of Norwegian immigrants that were American pioneers in the Midwest.
Wow. How old is the photo?
It's 1890s, definitely 1880s or 90s.
Wow.
Most likely, definitely not the 80s.
Yeah.
Most antique cabinet cards it's a safe bet to say it's the 1890s. 1860s, 70s, and 80s, if you had a photo from back then, that would be an unbelievably rare find.
Oh,
Like, if you had, like, a photo of, like, a fucking Civil War private in his, like, prime, like, that would be, like, yeah, you're not going to find that kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anywho.
Wow.
But most photos from the 1890s are a dime a dozen. That's kind of how I think of antiques, though, is that it isn't about finding valuable items. It's about making the case for an item's value.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, you're like a lawyer proving that something has valuable, either historically, personally to someone, or in rare cases, monetarily valuable. Usually just not. It's usually just not. I mean, if you find, like, a photo never before seen of, like, Frederick Douglass,
yeah,
it's like, okay, like, now you have something that's gonna make you some money.
Yeah.
But that's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna find that at a flea market.
That's true.
It's just not gonna happen.
Unless you get insanely lucky.
Unless you get, that's like,
wind up at the estate sale of the right person.
it's just not gonna happen. Most likely,
Huh.
But it could, I guess.
Okay, so what if you've identified that you have a piece that's worth value? What do you do then?
Well, it depends of which category you're talking about. Monetarily valuable, it depends on your personal values. If you find something that's legitimately monetarily valuable, fucking sell it. Fuck it. Just sell it to whoever will pay the price that you want. If you find something that's historically valuable, I think I have told you recently that I am now identifying as a museum anarchist or a historical anarchist, in the sense that or communist. I don't know. I'm just becoming more and more soured recently to the idea of valuable artifacts living in a solitary confinement of someone's personal collection for no reason, and especially when they're not even properly storing it, or like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it might even get destroyed or thrown away when they die, or they might just give it away to somebody. They don't even know who it is. They're not even keeping it in a safe location, and they just bought it because they think it's cool. It's just like, I just think that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like just keeping something that has massive historical and cultural value to maybe even a small group of people, but for anybody, for you to just keep it and be like, I just fucking like it. Fuck you. It's just like, that might not be right. I just don't know if that's right. And maybe it should be just given away to or sold to, people that can preserve it for future generations. And people who have the training to keep it safe, the expertise to restore those items, or even the institutional power to put it into a place where it can be appreciated by many more people than just you and your fucking on your fucking oddity shelf.
Yeah.
And that's me too. I mean, trust me, I got, cool, like, ambrotypes, and, I have, like, a deer skull, and, I have all kinds of spooky, cool oddity items that I like. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying that if you have something that could be of historical value, I feel like it is like a moral human duty to put it into its rightful place.
Yeah, a place where people can learn from it and appreciate it.
You shouldn't, there's no sense, if it's something that's just of a random person that could never be identified by an unknown photographer, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't know, fucking keep it. You have a picture of a creepy Victorian child, keep it. Whatever.
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, another project that I have right now, I won't say the name of this person because I believe that I could track down their living relatives, but I have about 8 photos from childhood of this guy's parents and siblings and him in, like, college or something, and he was a doctor in Boston throughout the early 20th century.
Wow.
And I have identified him. I have found his grave. I found the name of his relatives, his place of work when he was alive.
Wow.
His obituary.
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, and I have his baby picture from like 1896 or something.
Oh,
and I'm
little life.
I just have a little slice of this guy's life. And it's definitely somebody's great grandparent.
That's the kind of thing where it's like, when you're talking about relative value, Like,
Yeah.
that person might be, from an institutional perspective, not super relevant, but
Probably wouldn't be relevant, yeah.
if you approached, like, if I got a random DM from somebody that told me that they had, like, an archive of images and data from my, like, great-grandparent I'd never met's life, I would be very interested to see that.
Yeah, you would be. It would probably bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
It would probably be monumentally, like, life-changing. It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Maybe not to everybody, but to certain people it'd be really profound. So, and that's just one angle where it's like, you know, I think we've talked about the photo angel on the show, who famously is like a blogger and Facebook group admin, and I think she's done many interviews with small press things, but she's this woman that fucking, what'd you say?
I said that's interesting.
Oh, she literally, her whole like life, it seems to me, is she gets antique photos and she uses her genealogy wizardry to find their living relatives and then just gives them the pictures.
That's nice.
That's like her whole thing.
Huh.
And she seems to be really fucking good at it because she's posts all the time, like, found another one, got another one, photos returning home.
Where is she based out of?
I don't know. I know she's American, but I don't know what state.
Interesting. That'd be a cool person to reach out to.
Yeah, that'd be what a trip that would be. I don't know if she's like out of reach, like if she's like very popular or something, or if she's more independent.
Yeah.
But maybe, yeah, we could try. I'd reach out. You never know.
I think that's a very admirable quest that you've been on recently. I think that's cool. And it's exciting to see, as you've been researching the objects in your collection, how much history so many of them have.
I've been able to, with fresh eyes, and go through my whole collection. I've sniped many things from photos that I've had for years that I never noticed before. I even found one that I've looked at 1,000 times, it feels like, that literally had an embossed photographer watermark in the corner of it that I just never even fucking saw.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then I was able to find that photography studio.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was it a significant photography studio?
Not necessarily. So far I've identified, I think, like 40-something known photography studios and photographers from my collection.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's probably about, I mean, I think I definitely have, I probably have over 200 photos, maybe 300 or something. And I maybe have identified a third of the photographers.
Wow.
The thing is sometimes even if they have a name, they're just, some of them just happen to have no documentation surviving on the internet of their existence, their business's existence.
Huh.
Another thing too is that not many of them have any aesthetic or artistic value. Like, they're not exactly, you know, like amazing examples of the best photography of the time. A lot of it was just utilitarian.
Yeah.
Where it was like the equivalent of like some guy who does like senior photos for like local kids. Where it's like they're adequate, good photos, but they're not like, you know,
They're not,
they're not like high art. They're just pictures of people.
Just get the job done.
Solely for the point of just having a picture of a person.
Yeah.
Not to diss, you know, not to diss like working photographers out there.
It's functional, not necessarily
And
creative.
I'm sure many of them are artists in their own right, but I'm sure even they don't feel like an artist when they're like taking a picture of a random 17-year-old holding a football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not trying to shit on you got, you know, but not saying you're, you know, a fucking whatever. Never mind. Anywho, so that's been on my mind a lot recently.
That's cool.
Yeah, and because we're liquidating and consolidating a lot of our belongings right now because we're preparing to move at some point soon. We'll talk more about that eventually. What's the time at on this?
20 minutes almost.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Yeah, preparing to move, consolidating items, property, collection, and putting things into our new warehouse storage.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Our new warehouse. We don't have a new warehouse, but we are utilizing a previously available space to us to...
It's our old warehouse.
As our archive, as our battle station.
Battle station.
Well, no, it's not much of a battle station. It's more of a barracks.
These are very severe words, I feel like.
That's the point. Anywho, so so it's like your clown collection.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue talking over you.
Yeah, I'm really
and not
loving
letting you
that,
talk.
actually. Appreciating it a lot.
I'd actually like for this episode to just be a monologue by me.
It's okay. I think the stuff that you're doing with the... actually, honestly, all of it, because this ties into what we were talking about earlier. But this project has been born from the consolidation we've been doing for moving, and also I don't know if we've talked about Artwork Archive and the consolidation we've been doing of our own collections.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we have talked about that. This has been a behind-the-scenes
Probably not.
source of stress, but also exciting thing. If you don't know about this, we're going to put you onto something that we have been working with recently that was recommended to us by a few different artist friends that we have, called Artwork Archive, which I used a while ago when I was running an art lending program. It was like an institutional package for art lending, where it was like a database of all the different artwork that was affiliated with the program, so I could look through it and decide what to put in different installs. But they also have a personal setting that you can get, where I think it's like $28 a month for unlimited use, and you can add multiple different logins and different users. People can help you archive things and have their own logins to your account. And you can upload unlimited pieces, filter them by size, tag them, put all the dimension information, where you've shown it, the provenance history. You can mark it as sold. You can mark it as in your collection. You can mark if you have multiple different locations, like we were talking about the warehouse that we have. I have things over in Plymouth. Brian has things in Rockland. We're going to be moving soon. Our stuff is spread the fuck out, and will be even more so later. You can mark where things are actually located. So when you are looking at calls for art, when you are trying to figure out what pieces you might suggest to a buyer that wants to see your most recent work, somebody that's looking for something specific with certain subject matter, colors, or dimensions, you can search your entire collection, everything that you've made, by different keywords that you've tagged, by size, etc., and see all of that while you're in your administrative space. You don't have to go out to your studio and poke around and go, oh, I don't know, let me see what I have. Just filter through thousands of canvases and notebooks and out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. You have it right there. It's streamlined, it's clean, and you can track all of the information and not have to keep it inside your little head, which is how I've been doing it. So the thing about that is that it's fucking awesome, and it's really, really nice to have access to it once they're imported. But as someone who has never organized any of my artwork ever and just keeps pumping that shit out for the last 25 years, a lot of front end work, a lot of it. You've been doing a lot of it too, a lot more than me, actually.
The archiving?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of going buck wild with it, just because it's literally just so fucking because here's a problem. Here's something. Okay, I want to make the case right now.
Yeah.
To add on to what you're saying of why data entry and learning data entry skills will make every artist on this planet 1 billion times better.
Yes.
If you can do data entry of your work and create a living and robust catalog of everything that you have ever fucking made, whether
Yes.
you have it or not, whether it's destroyed or not, whether you like it or not, if you can get that, if you can create a set of data like that, it will make you a billion times better. Because a problem that I've had with music my whole life, the whole fucking over 10 years that I've been writing and performing and trying to make albums and shit, is that every couple years I try to completely reinvent myself, or I'll stop playing every song that I have ever played and remembered or wrote, and I'll just try to write a whole new set of songs.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, these are the songs that represent me now. And then eventually I'll be like, those suck. And then I'll write new ones, and I'll be like, these are the ones that represent me now. But recently, since we've been archiving shit and cataloging, I've thought to myself, why don't I do the same thing with all of my lyrics, chords, and recordings?
Oh, I love that.
So I've been doing that, and I have probably a little over half of my music catalog documented right now, and it just comes from, it's literally just, I just listen to each track and recording, write down every lyric and write down the chords and the key, just because they're my songs, I can really instantly tell what I'm playing.
Yeah.
So there's not really much relearning required either. So I'm just And basically what that's giving me is with this entire set of data and catalog in front of me, and I'm holding my guitar and sitting there, it's so interesting to be able to just sit there, play a song from 2015, followed up by a song from 2021, and then a song from 2017, and then a song that I wrote a week ago, and then another song from 2012.
Yeah.
And it's like I can do that now because they're right in front of me and I can remember them, versus just reinventing myself every year and starting from scratch over and over again, never being happy with what I've done, not having any kind of connection to myself or my personal history.
Yeah.
Just reinventing myself and not even knowing how to play my own songs.
Yeah.
What kind of shit is that? What kind of fucking artist? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not that way with my visual art at all. I'm like obsessed with myself. With my visual art, I'm like writing a fucking history and a manifesto and cataloging this and that and writing down my motifs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like I'm like going fucking crazy over my visual art, but my music, I'm like I might as well. It's like I don't give a fuck at all, and it's like that's just it's disrespectful for my past self to my past self.
Yeah.
It's sabotage for my current self.
Yeah.
And it also just makes me a worse musician to have no idea what I'm doing, no idea what I've written. And it's like when I'm re-listening to these songs and writing down all the lyrics and the chords and shit, I'm like remembering things, remembering feelings, remembering events and people that I haven't thought about in years.
Yeah, which is a really nice feeling.
And I'm like, I remember exactly why I wrote this and what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it's also making me less chicken shit and scared of my own creations because, you know, like you've been saying, you've said recently, like, you know, you've been listening to the podcast to get rid of the embarrassment.
I want to talk about that too. We put a pin in that.
We don't have to put a pin in it because that's what I'm talking about right now. Where it's the same thing. We're re-listening to my music. I'm able to see in a lot of ways. I do have a lot of very bad songs in my, you know, that I've written, but I also have a shocking amount of songs where I'm like, damn,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
Like I wrote this when I was 18.
Yeah.
Like this isn't even that bad.
Yeah. And that's good
like
to remember because the thing is, what I've been realizing with the podcast is like, I haven't listened to that much of it yet. I want to go through and listen to all of it chronologically, but I've listened to a couple episodes in full, which I think I've talked about this on the air before, and I've joked around about this in my personal life that I never ever do that. And I actually like physically recoil whenever I hear you like editing an episode we just recorded or something. Like I hate hearing like my freshest content.
Interesting.
It's like an insecurity thing, I think, but I've been trying to kind of reckon with that because, did I not talk about this on an episode recently? Maybe I did.
I don't know. We've been pretty scattered with our recordings recently.
Yeah,
I don't know what we talked about when.
Whatever.
Especially with Patreon up in the air now.
Oh yeah, this is for Patreon, right?
You know, I was thinking that it would be for Patreon, but it's going so long that it might even be worth just making this a real episode.
Yeah. Maybe we could...
We'll see. Let's just keep going and we'll see.
Maybe we could double dip into the interesting points for a small Patreon.
Yeah, I'm down with that, yeah.
Alright, anyway. Subscribe to us on Patreon, by the way.
Subscribe to the Patreon.
But listen, so I have been realizing that listening to my old content, like it becomes this beast in your mind of like, that's embarrassing, I don't want to hear it, like I don't even want to look at that, like I did such a stupid bad job and other people think it's fine, but I know that it's bad and I'm just going to avoid it. And then a couple years goes by and you just think that and you think that it's true and you don't give yourself the grace of ever like actually sitting down and analyzing what you did or what you made. And it's just out there and other people are consuming it and other people are building an opinion on you based on what you've created and you have no idea what their opinion is because you just think you're horrible and bad and you're just putting out horrible bad shit all the time that everyone listens to. And really what you're doing is just not looking that like ghost in the face and everything is fine and you're not really that big of a deal. Even if you suck, like if someone's listening to your podcast for 2 years, it's probably fine. You know what I mean? So I don't know, whatever. I started listening to the old shit because another thing too is I think about this with like school and stuff. Like if you're trying to write a paper or like a presentation or make a PowerPoint or something like that, you do a draft, you let it sit for a little while, you go back and look at it and you're like, wow, this is shit. And you rewrite it because you have a better idea of it because you wrote it the first time. Right. So I think that we do that sometimes in the podcast where we go over concepts, like we're known to discuss the same topic like many times over the course of like months or whatever. But we're not reflecting on what we said last time. We're just reflecting on the same issue again. And
I see. So by listening, you're saying that we could actually
we
have
can
a
grow.
coherent narrative.
Yes, and we can understand where we are at and respond to our past selves with what we've learned and actually like track our progress. Like, we've created this database of our own thoughts and opinions, and we don't access it ever, which is foolish. It's like what you're talking about with music. It's like, if you're just off the cuff all the time, like, a big part of being, at least to me, not everybody sees it this way, and that's fine, but for me, the source of power in my art, in my writing, in my, like, academic writing and poetry and whatever the fuck I'm doing, it comes from reflecting on the topic and remastering it. And I do that with paintings. Like, if I painted something, I will look at it again later, and I'm not afraid to do that. I just I hang a canvas on my wall when I'm done painting it, and I look at it for a few weeks before I get rid of it. I write a poem, and then I put it in my notes, and then I look at it again 2 years from now, and then I rewrite it. Or, like, I'm always turning over the same work to refine it and remaster it. But with audio content, I don't do that because it's my own voice, and that's, like, scary or something. But that's kind of stupid. It's like, I don't know. It's nice to have a bird's eye view of what you're working on, and that applies to every single discipline.
And that bird's eye view is the key, because, like, think about it like this, right? Think about, like, I'm trying to think. Think Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol had, like, a booming emerging artists, like, explosion into his career, and he survived all the way into his twilight years of being an old wizard, ancient artist. So, and with that being said, you know, he was probably, oh shit, wrong exit. He probably created an ungodly amount of art, right? And it was probably all in a fucking warehouse somewhere or in his studio.
Yeah.
And despite how systematic he was in his creations, and despite how prolific he was, there was no way for him to really be able to look at all of his creations without either paying somebody to, like, make some, like, detailed annotated book of his work or something, or for him to just physically search through archives of his own shit, or like you had to go on a physical adventure to fucking figure out what you fucking had, what you made, where it went, what you put in it, what you made it out of, where they are, what they are, whatever.
Wow.
But
I hadn't thought about that.
Rembrandt couldn't fucking do that. Nobody could do that. Basquiat made fucking literally, Basquiat has thousands of paintings that he is confirmed by his, by the Basquiat Foundation or whatever to have made.
Yeah.
He has so many in circulation that I've heard that his estate actually no longer validates new Basquiat paintings that are discovered.
Wow.
They, I guess they won't, acknowledge them as new Basquiats or whatever.
Huh.
Because there's so fucking many in circulation. And because he's a very contemporary artist, despite him being from so long ago, he is still technically contemporary.
So it's probably hard to ID when, pieces that are from the 80s aren't that old, so.
They're also, his work is also prone to forgery because it's contemporary.
Yeah, a lot of, replica works are identified by the age of the materials. So if they're all acrylic paints and shit like that, it's probably not that hard to
a master
replicate.
Painter that has an MFA and went to fucking RISD could clone my paintings.
Yeah.
Probably seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, with that being said, that is true in my opinion.
You should start spitting in your paint or something.
I do sometimes. But I'm literally a master draftsman could clone fucking anything that we've made because we're contemporary and because they'd be good enough to do it.
Wow.
Anywho,
That's
my
cool.
point in bringing up Warhol and Basquiat and Rembrandt, I don't know if Rembrandt has hundreds of thousands of surviving paintings, but I'm sure he has hundreds of surviving paintings and drawings. But regardless, when they were alive, they could not access their entire catalog from above. It's kind of like how the 20th century was the first moment in all of humanity where somebody could go thousands of feet in the air and see and then look at a group of farms as if it's a quilt of land. That's the same thing with us right now, where we have a way, that is the exit. We have a way to catalog these things to the point where you, yeah.
I don't think you need to get over.
I think I actually do.
It's 50AB, so it's both of these, but then you're going straight to 50A.
Okay, whatever. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
No, you.
I get it. Why are you getting mad at me about the GPS? I know we're good.
I'm not getting mad.
I was just saying something. I'm sorry.
No, keep telling me.
All right. Now I'm all fucked up. Because you yelled at me.
I didn't yell at you.
All right, whatever.
Just don't turn right.
I'm just saying it's an unbelievable technological privilege.
Yeah.
As somebody in the modern age to be able to just hyperlink your entire body of work as it exists.
Yeah.
And the amount of unbelievably prolific and professional and amazing artists that have existed in human history, that like can you imagine if somebody, somebody like, I don't know, Jackson Pollock or whatever fucking artist you're thinking of had the ability to do that? Like, how would that have changed and impacted their work for the better?
Yeah.
To be able to see their work the way that we can see ours.
And that's a really interesting thing too, because if you even thinking about it with contemporary artists, like there's not a lot of people that I know that archive their work like that. And when you do, it elevates you to a more serious level, because when you talk about, like, I don't know if we've ever discussed this on the air, but like how to pitch a gallery show to a gallery. If you want your work to be shown, you want it to be like just you or a split show or something, you usually do a show proposal. And what that looks like is you have a body of work that you either have finished or are in the process of finishing that you have some examples of. You write an artist statement for that show, like the wall text, like a draft of whatever you're trying to say, and you submit it to a gallery, and they give you like a year that they are accepting shows for. They usually have cycles when they take submissions, and you submit it during the submission date, and then you wait a few months and they let you know if it passed or not, and then they give you like a month that they can slate to your show, or they don't. But you can't even submit to that without a digital archive, without having the dimensions of all of your pieces, without having a fully conceived idea of what you want to say with that body of work, without a familiarity with your body of work. And you can't just churn shit out and hope that it happens for you, because that's not how shit works. You're not going to get discovered that way. Like, you have to be your own advocate and your own curator and build these packages and send them out to places. And then once you've already done that, you're 1,000 miles ahead of a lot of other people. Like, if you just hand somebody that needs a show to go in on a certain month a fully fleshed show that's like good, that's awesome. That's less work for them, right? So it's 1,000 steps ahead for you, and then you have a show under your belt that is great for your CV. That's awesome. Everybody wins. But it's so sad and kind of silly that the thing that usually gets in the way of that isn't even your ability to speak about your work. It isn't your passion about your work. It isn't your technical skill. It's just this clerical thing of like having to put together that press package or having to put together that show proposal. And in the past, I think I've thought of that and been like, that's bullshit. Like, it's not fair. But it actually completely makes sense and isn't that hard to learn how to do. And there's materials and websites out there that will help you do it.
And in my mind, it's not about learning just writing. It isn't about learning how to write an artist statement. It isn't about learning how to get press or press packages or whatever. What it literally is just fucking data entry.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're right about everything you said, but I just adding on to make it to break it down even simpler.
No, you're right.
It's literally just fucking data entry.
And here's the thing too, that like there's a little voice in the back of my head that's like 17-year-old me with my rebuttals to this that I want to address and talk to directly. Where it's like, I feel like there's a past version of me that would say like, that's gatekeeping, like it's stupid, the galleries ask for that shit, like you don't need to know all of that information, just look at the piece and tell me if you like it or whatever. And I'm going to just explain why that's not true. Because if you have a package already done where you said what you want to say with your work, they know that there's not any curveballs, they know what you're trying to accomplish, they can see if it fits the theme of their gallery, like what they are planning to say for that year, like what they're doing with that funding that they're using to put on your show. So it's like a sales pitch, first of all. And the reason that they need to know your exact dimensions is so they can measure the gallery and fit your pieces in it and decide if other artists can fit in the space. Like, there's actual pragmatic reasons for why you should have to do all this stuff and why being mad about it sets you back and is actually just self-sabotage.
And for all the artists listening, who do you think is running museums and galleries? It's not artists. It's busybody people who do spreadsheets and do fucking data entry and went to fucking like 8 years of college. It's like a bunch of fucking, administrative people that need that fucking information written out.
Yeah.
It's not artists and shit where you could just like call them at like 2 p.m. or something or 3 in the morning and they're like, yo, what up? Let's do a show. Fuck it. What's the square footage of the gallery? I don't know. Like, that's not what gallery people are doing.
I'll even add on to that, though, and say that if you're an artist that's acting like that, you're self-sabotaging. Because I am an administrative artist. Like, I'm in both camps, and I've never been part of a show that the person running it was that flippant that didn't suck ass. Like, it's disrespectful to the people that are submitting work to your show if you just don't know any of that shit. If you're going to be in charge, be in charge. If you're not, submit your work and set back, but make it easy for the people in charge.
Yeah.
Get your shit together.
Yeah. Just remember, for all the artists out there, if you're ever submitting to something, filling out a form, putting together a proposal, just remember, the person who is receiving it and reading it is like a busybody, like nerd person that loves school and went to college. I didn't mean nerd like in a bad way. I'm sorry. I saw you squinted.
Busybody?
Well, I'm saying it's like an administrative officey person that's receiving it. Not like me. I'm like, I would drown if I was in an environment like that.
Yeah.
I'm not that personality type. I like die in settings like that.
Yeah.
I can like barely wake up in the morning. Like I suck. I can't do college. I'm exaggerating right now. But I'm not trying to talk shit on people like that and curators, library science people, arts administration people. These people are legends. They're great. I love that stuff. I'm just saying that those people are efficient and they understand corporate settings and administrative things and emailing and spreadsheets and this and that. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but also even just to break it down a little bit more, like the same things that they're asking for, like they're not necessarily like college only skills. These are the same skills like a carpenter uses when they're making plans. Like it's measuring a space, it's deciding how many pieces can fit in the square footage of that space without it being crammed. It's gallery design, like aesthetically, to make sure that things look good and your pieces aren't just like shoved up on a wall somewhere where nobody can see them. It's the stuff that if you as an artist like were submitting your piece and someone else was supposed to take care of that, and then you showed up and your piece looked like shit, you'd be mad if someone didn't do it. It's not just like dumb spreadsheets. It's also like just the pragmatic steps of actually putting on a show.
You're right. And I'm going to say this again because I'm worried that I'm misrepresenting myself to you. And like, I feel like I'm getting the wrong point across.
Okay.
What I'm saying is for artists listening that aren't that type of person, and maybe you're more like me, I'm saying that you need to get it together.
Yeah.
Because if you're aloof and like, I don't know, and you don't answer an email for 2 weeks, you're going on the back burner.
Yeah.
Like you're just not going to be in the show. They're gonna be like, well, you didn't answer my email at Monday at 9 a.m. That's how the world functions. That's what these people are doing.
Yeah.
And if you want to play the game, you gotta play it how the rest of the world is playing it. And
That's
if
true.
you're trying to do punk time, you're DIY, you're like basement venue person, that's cool. Me too. But you got to learn how to get out of that routine and environment to, play ball with, different people. Like people who like dress business cash every day. Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that, oh, those people are dorks, fuck them. I'm saying that if you don't know how to do that, you need to fucking learn.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking shit on the lazy artist people like me.
I just like don't know if it's like, I agree with you and I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's really conducive to create a binary like that where it's like business cash, spreadsheet people, and then artists.
Okay, that's
like,
fair.
That's not true. I'm in both camps.
Okay.
And a lot of people that work in the gallery circuit are artists. That's why they're there. But like, while there are things that are like fully data entry jobs and that are like within the arts, like membership stuff for an art association or like the funding shit, like that stuff is much more like straight down the middle spreadsheet, like finance numbers kind of stuff. And that might be more a type A personality kind of job. I don't think that curatorial is that. It is a little bit, but all you have to do is if someone sends you a text and you are asking you like what your piece, roughly how big your piece is and what the title of it is, that's not that much to ask somebody. You should know that. You don't have to do a spreadsheet to figure that out. And that's why a tool like Artwork Archive is really helpful for the artists that you're talking to, which I also fall in that camp. I haven't been submitting to shows until like this year because I never know the dimensions of anything. I upload something to my Instagram and forget about it. I don't know the medium of half the stuff that I made. I just make it. And I'm more organized in my job working with like the shit that I'm supposed to be organized on. But the thing is, if you make something and then as soon as you make it, you photograph it, you record the dimensions and you upload it, you have that information in your phone. You don't have to have it in your head. You don't have to be organized. You just put it in an app and then you copy and paste and reply to that DM. You can answer your Instagram DMs. It's easy. You know what I mean?
True.
So take advantage of tools that will help you navigate the personality type that you have. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just get it done.
You're right. Do you ever feel like curators are like authors who are writing nonfiction, but instead of making a book, they make a book that's put in a big room?
Yes, I do. A lot of them
like that. Like, we went to a show at the museum the other day, and I was like, I'm inside of a book.
A lot of them also publish a book. Exhibition catalogs are pretty standard for larger museums.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, they'll basically write a giant essay, and then you step into their diorama in the exhibition, and then you can buy the essay.
I love that so much.
I do too. I think that's really cool, and that's what I want to do with my career.
Hell yeah.
But,
hey, what time are we at real quick?
You can look.
I can't actually read that text. It's too small.
Oh, it's 45 minutes.
Okay, keep going. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I just, I'm not trying to push back against you too much, but I just think that it's not... I think the idea of, I'm doing this because a certain type of person wants me to is self-sabotage. Just be the best of the best.
Well, I agree with that. And I know why I feel like you're pushing back, because you're saying that you shouldn't be like some idiot schlubby person that's pretending to be professional. You should just be professional. Like, this whole difference between the two is stupid, and it isn't all. I messed up what I was saying.
No,
actually.
it's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can be punk rock, artist, do whatever you want, and just answer an email.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to remember too that there are some situations where fuck those people, I'm like this, but I'll do it their way because I have to, kind of anti-establishment thinking is useful. But I don't think most situations involving art are that place. Put that towards something more political or more action oriented, and just fucking do what you have to do for the open call. If you're walking around with that mentality, first of all, you're gonna fail because nobody wants to deal with that shit. And second of all, you can actually put that vitriol into something helpful, like supporting your community or doing something that is actionable, versus just being pissy at somebody because they asked you to submit dimensions of your own painting.
Yeah, it's like if you were a Shakespearean actor that got cast in a play and you just never went to any rehearsal or anything.
Yeah.
No costuming, no line readings. You just said, I'm just that dude. I'm just going to show up and do a good job.
Yeah.
No, they're going to cut you.
And
they're going to cut you out.
Yeah, and then if you're mad at the person that fired you because you didn't do what you said you were going to do, you're a loser.
Then you're diluted.
Yeah, you have to let that anger go in order to let yourself advance as an artist. So I don't think that it's good to be I'm not succeeding because of them, or their attitude or their way they're running this is bad.
The system.
They're it just doesn't, it's not that deep. It's just not that fucking deep.
Yeah.
Get mad about racism or something important that needs anger, not the show dimensions.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So yeah, I feel like we have covered a lot of super fucking interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think we're putting a little bit too much pressure on ourselves recently to fucking belt out a 2-hour episode or an hour and a half episode? Because back in the day, we used to do a 50-minute post.
That's true.
Because what is this at right now? It's going to be about 50 minutes.
Less a little bit. But yeah.
I wonder
Do you
if
wanna
this
stop?
could... No, well, I'm just saying. I mean, we are entering the time, because we do have to be somewhere at 6.
Yeah.
So we are eventually going to have to shut this off or something.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're the best podcasting partner I've ever had in my whole life.
Oh, thanks. Have you had a ton of them?
Maybe 3.
Okay.
I've attempted to do podcasting with other people in the past.
Oh, you're the best podcasting partner I've ever had.
And the only one you'll ever have.
Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding. Now, you could start other podcasting projects if you wanted.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't want you to, though, because I'll be jealous and mad at you.
I know you will.
Because you can't start something that's going to be better than what we make now.
Why would you think it would be better?
That wouldn't be cool at all.
It would be of
I'd-
equal caliber.
I would like you to not do anything without me. Just kidding.
Actually,
I love you.
when you leave the room, I power down. I'm like, oh.
You just shut it off when I'm
Yeah.
not looking at you.
Yep.
No.
And I just tell you that I have a really sick job and I do cool stuff, but really I'm just in my room charging.
But you're just like an AI robot that's
Yeah.
just writing, just improving random things into your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm realizing right now?
What?
I think we had a little bit of a light lunch,
Yeah, we did.
and I'm hungry,
Oh.
and it's making me on edge, and making maybe you a little bit on edge. Shit, I missed a turn. Do you admit that you might be a little on edge, or am I projecting? How do you address these accusations?
I feel fine, but I could eat.
Okay, I could eat too.
Yeah.
We're going to my show right now.
We are.
I'm playing a little show.
I'm excited.
I think that's the Mill 5 right there.
Nice.
We're in Lowell, Massachusetts, driving up to the Mill 5 to for me to do a little acoustic show. I like how I said acoustic show, even though the only type of show I ever play is acoustic, because I primarily only make acoustic music. So there really isn't a way for me to have anything but an acoustic show.
I saw that you were doing some country rap on YouTube.
I did that was funny. Yo, every Wednesday, Brian Huntress on YouTube. Hey, I'm geeking out and I'm hungry as fuck right now, and I'm stressing out because showtime is soon.
Okay.
Can we shut this off and then go get food or something?
Yeah, let's do that.
And this might be a Patreon episode. It might not be.
All right.
Either
I don't
way,
think it will be. It's way too long.
go subscribe.
Yeah.
Boy.
Boop boop.
All right, I gotta shut this off. I'm stressing out so much.
Oh my god, it's okay. You're gonna do great.
Out.
Maybe we can do a suffix to this episode after the show. You could be like, I did great. It was fun.
Good idea. Okay.
Okay, we'll time skip.
All right, we'll think about that. Either
What's
way,
up,
thank you
future
for
Brian and Theo?
What up? All right, see you in a minute. Bye.
Bye.
Boston Art Podcast is an independent DIY production by Brian Huntress and Theodora Earthworms. The information contained in this episode represents the views and opinions of the original creators or our guests, and does not represent any institution, organization, or business. Find us on Instagram at Boston Art Podcast, and tune in for a new episode every Friday. Thank you for listening.